Ma'am, you need to show me your ID before you go.
I don't have time for this. I'm a surgeon. There's a patient crashing in there.
Policy says I
Please.
check everyone. ID, now!
He's dying while we argue. Move out of the way.
Not until I see it.
Stop
Forget
resisting. Someone is going to die because of you.
Settle down. Hands behind your
Don't
back.
take it out. It's crashing.
A 25-year-old cop made a decision that would cost him 40 years of his life and seal the fate of a dying man. Officer Garrett Blake stood at the entrance of St. Catherine's Hospital that Tuesday evening, his body cam recording every word, every movement, every choice he was about to make. And Dr. Simone Keller was about to become the target of the biggest mistake of his career. Before we continue, let me take this opportunity to thank you so much for supporting our channel. Just choosing to watch our video means a lot to us. Before we go any further, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if this is your first time here. Dr. Simone Keller pulled up to the emergency entrance at 6:47 p.m. She was 30 years old, a board-certified trauma surgeon with 8 years of experience saving lives that most doctors would have given up on. Her phone had been ringing non-stop for the last 10 minutes. The hospital's chief of surgery himself had called her directly. A state judge had been in a catastrophic car accident, massive internal bleeding, minutes away from death. She was the only trauma surgeon within a 100-mile radius who could perform the surgery he needed. She stepped out of her car, her hospital ID clipped to her blazer, her surgical bag in hand. She moved quickly toward the entrance. That's when Garrett Blake stepped in front of her. "Stop right there," he said. His hand rested on his belt, close to his weapon. "Where do you think you're going?" Simone stopped. She looked at him, confused. "I'm Dr. Keller. I'm a surgeon here. I was called in for an emergency." Blake looked her up and down. His expression didn't change. "You got ID?" She held up her hospital badge. It had her name, her photo, her title, Dr. Simone Keller, trauma surgery. He barely glanced at it. "That could be fake." "Excuse me?" "I said it could be fake. You don't look like a doctor." Her jaw tightened. She knew exactly what he meant. She'd heard it before. She was a black woman. She was beautiful, yes, but that didn't fit his narrow image of what a surgeon should look like. And she could see it in his eyes, the resentment, the disbelief, the refusal to accept that she belonged here. "Officer, I don't have time for this. There's a patient dying inside. I need to get in there right now." Blake crossed his arms. "Not until I verify who you are. My badge is right here. Call the hospital, call the chief of surgery, but I need to go in right now." He didn't move. Simone's phone rang again. She answered it. It was Dr. Patel, the ER attending. His voice was frantic. "Simone, where are you? Judge Harrison is crashing. We need you in the OR now." "I'm at the entrance. There's an officer blocking me." "What? Put him on the phone." She held the phone out to Blake. "It's the ER doctor. He'll confirm who I am." Blake stared at the phone. Then he looked at her. "I don't take orders from you." "Do you see what's happening here? A man is dying inside. A surgeon is standing outside, and one cop's prejudice is the only thing standing between life and death." Simone pulled the phone back to her ear. "Dr. Patel, he won't let me through. Tell him Judge Charles Harrison is coding. Tell him if I don't have a surgeon in the next 5 minutes, a state judge dies on my table." She looked at Blake. "There's a state judge dying in there. Judge Charles Harrison, massive internal bleeding from a car accident. I'm the only trauma surgeon available. If I don't operate on him in the next few minutes, he will die." Blake's expression didn't shift. "How do I know you're really a doctor? You could be anyone." "My badge, my ID, the ER doctor on the phone. What more do you need?" "I need to run a background check." "A background check? Are you serious right now?" "That's protocol." Simone felt her pulse racing, but she kept her voice steady. She'd dealt with men like this before, men who saw her skin before they saw her skills, men who couldn't imagine a black woman holding a scalpel, making life or death decisions, commanding an operating room. But she'd never had one stand between her and a dying patient. "Officer, let me explain something to you. I graduated top of my class from Johns Hopkins. I've performed over 300 trauma surgeries. I've saved lives that were considered unsavable.
Right now, there is a man in that hospital who has maybe 10 minutes left to live, and you are wasting those minutes." Blake shrugged. "Then I guess you should have gotten here earlier." The words hit her like a slap. This wasn't about protocol. This wasn't about verification. This was personal. This was about power, about putting her in her place. A nurse burst through the hospital doors. "Dr. Keller, thank God, we need you right—" She stopped when she saw Blake blocking the entrance. "Officer, what are you doing? She's our surgeon." "I'm doing my job." "Your job? A man is dying." "Not my problem." Simone turned to the nurse. "How long does he have?" "Minutes, maybe less. His blood pressure is dropping. Dr. Patel is trying to stabilize him, but he needs surgery now." Simone turned back to Blake. She kept her voice calm, clear, deliberate. "Officer Blake," she read his name tag. "I am Dr. Simone Keller. I am a trauma surgeon at this hospital. I have been called in to save a man's life. Every second you keep me out here, his chances of survival drop. If he dies because you refuse to let me in, that's on you. Now step aside." Blake didn't move. He looked at the nurse. "Get back inside. This doesn't concern you." The nurse hesitated, then looked at Simone. "I'll tell them you're trying to get in." She disappeared back through the doors. Simone could hear the chaos inside, alarms, shouting, the sounds of a man dying. She took a step forward. Blake's hand moved to his belt. "Don't," he said. "What would you do in this moment? Would you push past him? Would you call for help? Would you stand there and watch a man die because of one person's hatred?" Simone raised her hands. "I'm not threatening you. I'm trying to save a life." "Back up," Blake ordered. She didn't move. "Officer, please, I'm begging you, let me do my job." I said, "Back up." Another hospital staff member came through the doors. This time it was Dr. Patel himself, still in his trauma gown, blood on his gloves. "What the hell is going on out here?" "This officer won't let me in," Simone said. Dr. Patel turned to Blake. "Are you out of your mind? She's our surgeon. Judge Harrison is dying." Blake pointed at Simone. "She hasn't been verified." "Verified? I'm verifying her right now. I'm the ER attending. I called her. She works here. Now get out of the way." "I don't answer to you." Dr. Patel's voice rose. "A state judge is dying in my ER. If you don't let her through right now, you're going to be responsible for his death." Blake's jaw clenched. His body cam was recording everything, every word, every refusal, and still he didn't move. "She's not going in," he said. His voice was cold, final. "I don't care who she says she is. She looks suspicious, and I'm not letting some—" He caught himself, but the words hung in the air anyway. Everyone knew what he was about to say. Simone felt something break inside her. Not fear, not anger, clarity. She understood now. This man would rather let someone die than admit a black woman had more authority, more skill, more value than he did. She looked directly at his body cam. "For the record, Officer Blake is preventing me, Dr. Simone Keller, trauma surgeon, from entering St. Catherine's Hospital to perform emergency surgery on Judge Charles Harrison. It is now 6:54 p.m. Judge Harrison has been critical for over 15 minutes. I have shown my credentials, I have been verified by hospital staff, and I am being blocked based on—" She paused. "Based on what, officer? Tell the camera. Why won't you let me in?" Blake's face reddened. "You're being detained for suspicious activity." "Suspicious activity? I'm a surgeon trying to enter a hospital." "You're being argumentative and aggressive." Dr. Patel stepped between them. "Officer, I'm ordering you to step aside. As the attending physician, I have the authority. You don't have authority over me." Inside the hospital, a long, piercing alarm sounded. The flatline. Everyone froze. Dr. Patel's face went pale. He turned and ran back inside. Simone tried to follow. Blake grabbed her arm. "Let go of me," she said. "You're not going anywhere." She pulled her arm free. "A man just died because of you. That's not on me, that's on you for not cooperating." 2 more hospital staff members came running out. Security. One of them recognized Simone immediately. "Dr. Keller, why are you out here?" "He won't let me in," Simone said, pointing at Blake. The security guard turned to Blake. "Officer, she's our surgeon. What are you doing?" "My job." "Your job?" "Judge Harrison just coded. He's dead." The words settled over them like ash. Dead. A state judge. Dead on an operating table because a surgeon was standing outside. Blake's expression flickered, just for a second, but then the wall came back up. "That's not my fault." Simone's voice was quiet now, deadly calm. "Your body cam recorded everything, every word, every refusal, every second you kept me from saving his life. You did this." Blake said nothing, but his hand was shaking. The hospital erupted. Staff members poured out of the building. Doctors, nurses, administrators. Everyone wanted to know what happened, why their surgeon was standing outside while a patient died inside. Blake tried to walk away. The head of hospital security stopped him. "You need to stay here. The police chief is on his way." Within 20 minutes, the parking lot was flooded with squad cars. The police chief arrived, the hospital's legal team arrived, and someone had already called the FBI. Judge Charles Harrison wasn't just any patient, he was a state judge. His death would trigger an automatic investigation. And when the hospital staff explained what happened, that a qualified surgeon had been physically blocked from entering the building, the investigation became something else entirely, a federal case. Blake was placed on immediate administrative leave. His body cam footage was seized as evidence, and when investigators watched that footage, they saw everything. Every refusal, every dismissal, every moment Blake chose his prejudice over a man's life. The footage went viral within 48 hours. Someone leaked it. The entire country watched as Officer Garrett Blake, a 25-year-old white cop, blocked Dr. Simone Keller, a 30-year-old black trauma surgeon, from entering a hospital. They heard him question her credentials, despite her badge. They heard him refuse hospital staff. They heard him say she looked suspicious. And they heard the flatline alarm in the background as Judge Harrison died. The outrage was immediate and massive. Protests outside the police station, calls for Blake's arrest, national news coverage, civil rights organizations demanding justice. But this wasn't just about public opinion. This was about the law, and the law was clear. 2 weeks later, federal prosecutors filed charges, 2 of them. First, deprivation of rights under color of law. Blake had used his position as a police officer to racially discriminate against Dr. Keller, violating her constitutional rights. The evidence was undeniable. His body cam showed he had no legitimate reason to detain her. She had proper identification, she had been verified by hospital staff, and still he blocked her. The prosecutors argued, and the evidence supported, that he blocked her because she was black, because he couldn't accept that a black woman could be a surgeon. Second, involuntary manslaughter. Judge Harrison died because he didn't receive the surgery he needed, and he didn't receive that surgery because Blake prevented the only available surgeon from reaching him. The medical examiner's report was clear. If Dr. Keller had been allowed to operate within the critical window, Judge Harrison would have had a 70% chance of survival. Blake's actions directly caused his death. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Blake's defense tried to argue that he was following protocol, that he had reasonable suspicion, that he was just doing his job. But the prosecution dismantled every argument. They brought in hospital staff who testified that Dr. Keller had proper credentials. They brought in other officers who testified that Blake had a history of targeting black citizens during stops. They brought in a use of force expert who explained that Blake had no legal authority to detain Dr. Keller. And they played the body cam footage over and over. The jury watched as Blake chose racism over reason, as he chose pride over a human life. Dr. Keller testified. She was calm, articulate, precise. She explained exactly what happened. She explained what she could have done if she'd been allowed inside. She explained that Judge Harrison's injuries were survivable with immediate surgical intervention. And she explained what it felt like to stand outside a hospital, begging to save a life, while a man with a badge and a gun told her she didn't belong. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on both counts. Think about that. A cop saw a black woman and decided she couldn't possibly be who she said she was, and that decision killed a man.
The courtroom was silent when the judge read the sentence. 40 years in federal prison, 20 years for the civil rights violation, 20 years for involuntary manslaughter, to be served consecutively. Garrett Blake would be 65 years old before he was eligible for parole. Blake's face crumbled. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder, but there was nothing left to say. The evidence had been overwhelming. The body cam footage had sealed his fate. He had recorded his own destruction. The judge spoke directly to him. "Officer Blake, you were given a badge and a gun and the public's trust. You were supposed to protect and serve. Instead, you allowed your personal prejudices to override your duty. You saw a black woman and you refused to see a doctor. You saw her skin before you saw her credentials. And because of that, a man died. A husband, a father, a public servant. Judge Charles Harrison's death was preventable. Dr. Keller could have saved him, but you decided that your bigotry was more important than his life. This court hopes that your sentence sends a clear message. Racism has consequences, and when racism costs a life, those consequences are severe." Blake was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. He never looked at Dr. Keller, not once during the entire trial. But the legal consequences didn't end there. Judge Harrison's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city. The city settled within 6 months, $15 million to the family, and the city also settled with Dr. Keller, $300,000 for the violation of her civil rights, the emotional distress, and the damage to her professional reputation. The police department launched an internal review. They found that Blake had a pattern of discriminatory behavior that had been overlooked, excused, or ignored by his supervisors. He had disproportionately stopped black drivers. He had filed more use of force reports against black suspects than any other officer in his precinct. And he had made racist comments in the locker room that other officers had heard but never reported. The department fired the officers who had failed to report Blake's behavior. They implemented new anti-bias training. They installed body cams on every officer with strict policies about when they had to be activated. And they created a civilian review board to investigate complaints of racial profiling. But none of that brought Judge Harrison back. Dr. Keller returned to work 3 months after the trial. She walked through the same hospital entrance where Blake had stopped her. She put on her scrubs, she scrubbed in, and she saved lives. Because that's what she did. That's who she was. A surgeon, a healer, a woman who had fought for the right to do her job and won. In an interview after the trial, she was asked if she felt vindicated. She said, "Vindication doesn't bring back Judge Harrison. His family still lost a father and a husband. Justice was served, but that doesn't undo the harm. What I hope is that this case makes people think. Think about their biases. Think about what happens when you judge someone by how they look instead of who they are. Because I was ready to save a life that day. I had the skills, I had the training, I had everything I needed except one thing, the chance to try. And a man died because someone decided I didn't deserve that chance." Blake is currently serving his sentence at a federal correctional facility. He'll be behind bars until 2065, 40 years. That's longer than Dr. Keller has been alive. That's longer than Judge Harrison got to live after that night. The body cam footage is now used in police academies across the country as a training example of what not to do. It's a case study in implicit bias, abuse of power, and the deadly consequences of racism. So, here's the question. Do you think 40 years was justice, or should it have been more, less? What would you have done if you were Dr. Keller standing outside that hospital? And what would you do if you saw something like this happening in front of you?
This story is a reminder that racism isn't just about words or feelings, it's about actions, and actions have consequences. Officer Blake made a choice that night. He chose his prejudice over a human life, and he'll spend the rest of his life paying for that choice. Before you go, drop a comment below. Tell us what you think. Was justice served? And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that matter, stories that make you think, stories that remind us why we have to do better. Thank you for watching.